Hello and good afternoon. I'm here to present to you my capstone project entitled Enhancing Sales Contact Management System through Web-Based Application with PHP and MySQL. This is part of my partial fulfillment of the requirements for me to gain a bachelor's degree in Information Technology under the ITEEAP program in Lyceum of the Philippine University. The second purpose of this project is for me to highlight the analysis, the methodologies, the evaluation, and the conclusion that I gathered in completing this capstone project. Part of this project is to present the solution that I've implemented to solve the issues in my company, particularly the call report system. As an introduction, I am Mandy Aguirre. I am currently working as an Information Technology Help Desk Coordinator in Jardin Smith International Private Limited, Singapore. I am working under Administrative Department, but in IT Department staff. My job description in Jardin Smith is I'm a planner, a designer, an implementer, and an evaluator of their network infrastructure, including CCTV and email servers. I analyze and develop softwares for companies' minor system requirements. I maintain and monitor network security and reliability as well. Previously, I worked in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in one of the biggest supermarket in Dammam. My major role there is to maintain their network infrastructure, including their point of sale system and the retail and inventory servers. With regards to my personal info, I am married with two sons, and my eldest is 3 years old, and the youngest is 17-month-old boy. The purpose of for me to pursue this degree is number one, for me to have a self-fulfillment, because this is my number one goal ever since. The reason why I took a 2 years IT course in Meralco Foundation last time is for me to finish my studies immediately, for me to be able to help my family right away. But despite of those, I still keep in my mind that once I gain or have money and time, I will still continue to pursue my study. The second purpose of this one is for me to set an example, to be an example to my kids, and to teach them that the proper or the importance of having a good education, particularly with a degree. By doing this, I can clearly tell to them that this is a very important matter, so that they can, through themselves also, they can establish themselves, and then they can realize that what I am telling to them is true. To begin with, established in 2005, Jardin Smith International, or JSI, Singapore has developed into one region's leading investment firm with powerful and professional employees. Not only in Singapore, we have also branches in Malaysia and Hong Kong and Thailand. The company is engaged into selling UK property, particularly lands, and the return of investment is through the development of each property. JSA employed client relation managers, or the CRMs, who are capable in handling clients' portfolio containing clients' personal details, invested property, and their supporting documents. Jardin Smith International consists of 15 to 20 staff currently and has 3 departments. They are distributed in managing department, administrative department, and sales department. But solely the company is earning most especially from the sales department. With this organizational chart, we can identify the role of each entity or employee in Jardin Smith International Company. This is good information for us to evaluate and to analyze also those potential users of our new system. In this, we can identify also who will decide regarding the budgeting and customization of the system, and what are the features that the system needs to have. First or on top of this ranking is the regional sales director. The regional sales director are the main decision maker in this company. They can influence also the outcome or the acceptance of this project. The director suggestions and remarks could make a big impact on the system development and implementation. Below him is the general manager. Although they have a same purpose to decide and to make big decisions in the company, however, the general manager solely devoted in handling or managing the administrative side. Administrative side includes employees documentation, hiring of people. The general manager also manages the taxation of each employee, and also the papers for their foreign workers like me uh, to submit to the government for approval or for the extension of the working visa. Below the general manager are the administrative and the IT technical staff. The admin also prepares reports and financial data. They process documents and create data presentation. Aside from that, they screen calls, managing calendars, arranging travels, meetings, and events. On the other hand, the IT technical staff are the one managing databases, monitoring networks and securities, and the development of minor systems as they need it. On the other side, the senior sales managers are the supervisors for the CRMs or the client relation managers. They supervise, they monitor, and manages the group of client relation managers, as I mentioned a while ago. And lastly, the client relation managers who are uh, they are the one responsible for meeting clients to generate sales and manage the portfolio of their clients. And these are all the um, entities that we need to look in this project, and also their roles, specific roles for this organization. Part of this project is to identify the general problem in this company. In general, we are going to focus more about the CRMs because their role is to produce the call reports that they've done, and because they are the one who keeps on calling or updating the clients through telephones, SMS, emails, or meeting in a regular basis. Roughly or estimatedly, there are around 1,000 clients of Jardin Smith currently, and imagine in one CRM if they have or they're handling around 200 clients, and then they need to update it daily. So imagine the papers that they will produce at the end of the day or at the end of the week, and wherein those papers are having all the call reports or the contact updates that they done with the clients. And also having 1,000 clients means combining all the CRM's reports are very troublesome. And aside from that one, there are a lot of issues that popping out with regards of this procedure, which is the one that we are going to discuss and try to solve later on in this capstone project. Next is, what are the issues that they are facing right now? Jardin Smith International is facing difficulties in number one, managing and documenting the call reports. As we all know, they are only using pen and paper. So although there is no problem in writing the report, but to manage it and to document it and to file it, that will be a problem later on, or that will be it will cause a problem later on. Then second is setting standards in call report submission and retrieval. As you can see, having a pen and paper procedure will have inconsistencies, which will defy or will not able to reach the standardization in the company. Third is knowing when the client was last contacted. This is one of the crucial part in call reports, because they need to know when is the last update that they've done with the clients, because missing these dates means they are missing the opportunities to update the clients, and it will cause worriness for the clients, because let's say 2 years or 3 years later they haven't received any updates. So that one is will face problem later on. And there is a tendency, which is we faced last time, that there are a lot of clients keep calling us and asking us what is the updates of their investment. And lastly, knowing when they need to contact the client again, because the current procedure has no reminder on it, although they can use their personal phones, but still not enough to remind those CRMs to contact those clients. And to start with the system development process, we are going to decide first which methodology is best or suited in our current situation or current issues. There are a lot of methodologies that I've described in my capstone project, like the waterfall method and the Aguirre. However, because of the simplicity of this project and these objectives, we've decided to implement or to have this project in a waterfall method. The reason behind choosing waterfall method is the requirement is very simple. Jardin Smith International required a very simple yet effective solution to make their core report better. There are a lot of features and functions that they require, but it is not too complex. Another thing is the linear way was approach of develop the best approach that we can apply in this system. Aside from those, the progress is more easily measured, because from the planning, we know already what will be the outcome, and then customers not directly involved with the development of the software, because the client or my boss engage only when they are involved in the meeting, wherein the initial meeting is all the requirements, all the features are already settled. Next is the task distributed and done simultaneously. However, this part is not applicable in my capstone project, due to the reason that I am the only one who built the system. And then next is design completed early in the development cycle, which is true, because during this process, as you can see from the diagram, after getting the requirements, we can straight away proceed to the designing method. And then next is the system development completed based on the understanding of all software deliverables, which means that all the plans or all the objectives, all the features and functions are already set during the requirement phase. So the only thing is we need to follow the flow, which is after the requirements is the designing. After designing is the implementation, verification, and maintenance. However, as you can see from the diagram, they are overlapping to each other. So it means this waterfall method can do in such a way that while doing the requirements, we can straight away proceed to designing. So if ever there's another requirement, we can just put it together with the designing. The only disadvantage of this waterfall methodology is if we are near to the end or to the end phase of this method, and then suddenly they require another features or requirement, we need to go back to the designing phase again and then repeat, which will take time for us and effort as well. So throughout this capstone project, we will follow the flow of this waterfall method. Okay, so let's go first in our first phase, the requirements, specification, and analysis. In this phase, I follow the SWOT, or identifying the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis in our project. This SWOT is gathered through interview or with our meeting last time. This meeting gives us the idea about the functions and features that we need to integrate with the system, discuss about the budget, and then the second is collection of the relevant documents, those all the pen and paper call reporting, and then with these documents we can identify the fields, the data, and the required entries that we need to put in the new system. Lastly, the computer hardware and software assessments, which is for us to know which programming language that we need to use, the server and desktop units, where to get it, and the network infrastructure that we need to set up for us to access the servers. The SWOT, with regards to the SWOT, our strength samples are like the IT staff of the Jardin Smith International are very flexible, so it means this will be one of our strength, which is it means that the IT staff can do system troubleshooting, network infrastructure installation, troubleshooting, and system analysis, design, and development. So this flexibility we can have it as an advantage in implementing this system. Second is the GSI staff, who composed of two Filipinos, are manageable or knowledgeable about PHP and MySQL, HTML5, and CSS, and JavaScripting. These languages are needed for us to develop the web application that we want to propose for this new system. Next is the new solution provides not only simple process but also an efficient overall outcome. Computer hardware and network infrastructures are available and ready to use. This is one of the good or the best thing about this project. All the hardwares are already available, the network infrastructures are already available, so it means we can lessen the cost or we can reduce the cost because of these advantages. Weaknesses that we may see is project limits to an open source softwares like PHP, MySQL, Apache, and Ubuntu. There are some who said that these languages are not too secure enough, particularly in a networked environment or in the internet as well. However, we will try our best to use it in such a way that we can promote more security as well, because part of this project is we are going to evaluate these open sources comparing to those proprietary softwares. And then next is one of the weaknesses is the management did not give us any budget, as in zero budget with regards to the softwares. So we have no choice but to think of outside the box, and let's see what are the things that we can gather and collect, and so that we can implement the system in as much as possible at zero cost. Then the level of the knowledge and skills of the developer. This is one of the weaknesses also, because as what I mentioned a while ago, there are some open sources and then there are some proprietary system. However, because of the limitation of the knowledge of the programmer, we have no choice but to stick on the open source technology, because the programmers or the developers knowledge and skills are in favored on those technologies and not on the proprietary technologies such as Microsoft ASP or .NET or Microsoft SQL. With regards to opportunities, Jardin Smith employees are all keen to replace the pen and papers call reporting, and they love this idea to have a system in place to replace this pen and paper business process. And then one of the advantages of an open source community is to provide a free technical support and a wide range tutorial. With these advantages, we can grab this opportunity to develop our system, apply those tutorials, and including additional securities, add on new features about these open sources, and then we can integrate it to our system to enhance its performance and security. And then for the threats, we can identify the threats through online system is prone to hackers and intruders. However, the system the requirement in the system is firstly or initially will be implemented locally only or inside the company only. So maybe we can set aside these threats first. And then computer viruses, yes, true, that you can destroy the system on the server as well. Then without a backup plan and redundant system, it can halt operation, because having one server to cater this system means everyone is relying on one server only. So if it fails, so it means the operation will be stopped or halted. So these are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that we identified while we are gathering these requirements, and later on we will see what will be the effect of this SWOT in our project. Okay, and after we gather our issues, our problems, and stuff, and the related or relevant data from the people or the management, or particularly in this company that will help us to build this new system, we are now able to set our objectives in this project. Objectives such as to be able to automate core reporting in the company. Second is to document the methods involved in the system development. Third is to promote standardization in the company, which I mentioned a while ago, that the pen and paper doesn't or did not provide any standardization in the company because of there are a lot of inconsistencies and variation in their submissions, and then of the report. And then fourth is to carry out a good solution with a minimal cost, which this is one of really a tough challenge in this implementation. And lastly is to assess the open source system. Part of this project is for me to assess the open source system is I compare the open source system such as the operating system, which is I use Ubuntu, and compared it to a Windows server or those proprietary server. And then another thing is about the Apache compared to the IIS of the Windows server. In general, I compared the one that we need to pay the licensing and the one that we just need to download and install with our server. Now we proceed to our phase 2, which is the designing phase. Design phase refers to the tables and pseudocodes that contain scripts or methods that perform a specific function. Today the term is most often applied to technological fields in reference to the web design, software, and information system design. As you can see, I list down all the things that we need to take note in designing. First, our tables or the database tables. Second is the interface or our application interface. Third is the algorithm or the pseudocodes. Fourth is the object-oriented classes, which is relating to the object-oriented programming. Fifth is the network infrastructures, and lastly the operating system and software. First, we will discuss about the tables. In this designing, I use the database relational diagram. In this relational database diagram, we are able to list down the required tables that we need, including their fields or the columns inside these tables. And then part of from it is we can identify the relationship between each table to another table or to the group as majority, or to whole to form the whole database in our system. So we can, for example, if we're going to take the history table, the relationship of history table to log table is many to 1. If we're going to take the users table, and then we will compare it to the or connect it to or relate it to the history table, one user table needs many history tables. So it means every login, every action of a user, it will log differently in history table. So that is how we design these tables particularly with the relationship of each tables. Second is the interfaces. The interface is the one that will prompt, or that is the one that will face or will give access or to the users. This will form, or this will build the interactivity or interaction between the application and our users. With this, I just use a mock drop, or like a sketch application to for me to draw the interface or the layout of my application, which is, as you can see from my drawing, it is in a web-based form, because honestly this system, as we use the PHP, it will be in a web-based form. Algorithm and pseudocodes. Algorithm and pseudocodes are the line by line codings, but it is not yet in a proper programming language. It is like in a English wording that we can everyone will understand, so that we will just know the flow of each program in our system. Like for example, the pseudocodes that I write here. So with this, from line 1, it says prompt for username and password. So it means the expectation in our system will be there will be a prompt, or there will be a page that will ask for a username and a password. And then second is to get the username and password. So whatever the user will enter on that username and password will be received by the system. And then there will be a time that they will, like in line 5, it will process the key in username and password. It will compare it with the one saved in our database, or the presets that we set. If the username matches to the username and password matches with the username that we set and the password that we set, the key will be 1, else will be 0. If 1, it will go to the next page. If 0, it will display or an invalid login. This is how pseudocodes will work. There is no proper programming language, but we can interpret already the codings that we want. We will put into our system. And then later on, I will show you how to test this one through desk checking as well. Next is the object-oriented classes. This one is like in a database programming, wherein we declare our tables. In programming, it is like we are building modules per modules. One module can perform a specific function, and then another module can perform a specific function. What is the purpose of this object-oriented classes? The purpose of this one is to make our programming flexible, wherein, for example, this module I build as a calculator. This module I build as a let's say build as a thermometer, or the one that can compute temperature. So let's say if my main class needs to call a function that will calculate temperature based on my entry, I can call this module. No need to call this module. So with this process, we can simplify everything. So that's why I designed object-oriented classes for me to implement an object-oriented programming, which is based on modules. And then next is the network infrastructure. We need to cover also this network infrastructure, because from here we will know how clients or user will be able to access the server using their computers, laptops, smart gadgets like their mobile phones, tablets, and any gadgets that can connect to the internet and to the server. We can use this one also to help us to identify which resources or which equipment, which computers that we need to buy later on if there's a need, and which are the gadgets or equipments that we need to upgrade later on. Part of it is we can identify also which node or which point that we need to secure for us to protect our server. So dealing with network infrastructure is a must in system designing, because it will give us information or give us the stuff that we need to implement the physical computer connection in our system. Lastly, the operating system and the software. As I mentioned a while ago, I need to compare the open source and the proprietary source. But with this designing, I already decided to use the open source system, as we know that there is no allocated budget for this project. So I settled with the operating system as using with Ubuntu, PHP for my programming language, MySQL for my database management system, Apache for my web application server, and the UFW is one of the firewall available in Ubuntu distribution that can set security in our system. And then for our third phase is the development and implementation. The project execution phase comprises implementation of items detailed under planning above. This is when design, engineering, testing, and commissioning activities are executed. The following items are addressed in the execution phase. The project plan execution, which is if you are in a group of programmers or in a group of developers with the project managers, the project managers is responsible to distribute the task to each developers, which module that one developer will do, the other one will do. So with this approach, we can allocate, or through allocation, we can designate the works between our programmers. But however, in this capstone project or in this solution that I built, it is not applicable because, as what I mentioned a while ago, I am the only one who develops this software. I'm the only one who put all the modules to build a whole system in this capstone project. The second one is the project scheduling execution. In this piece, we are setting up our scheduling from the planning all the way to the maintenance of our project. In this schedule, we can input our detailed tasks per each group, which is later on I will show you when you can implement a Gantt chart as well to represent the standard way to represent the project scheduling. Third is the activity execution, wherein it is like which phase need to do this one, which phase need to do this one. With activity execution, we can group the activities that we need to execute per schedule based on our scheduled tasks or scheduled project. Quality assurance is part of our implementation and development because it is the way we test the system after we come out with the solution or after we develop the whole system. So we need to do a quality assurance, although in other companies or in system provider companies, there are sets of people or another group of people who do this quality assurance or quality control. However, in my project, I'm the one who did the program. I am the one who will do the quality assurance. But for me to make sure that really there's no bug, the way that I do the quality assurance is I implemented the system and then allow the user to use it for a while, but the data is not yet the live data, so that through that process they will able to give me feedback where if they find any issues or problems or bugs regarding this system. Lastly, the project communication. The project communication is through training, through manuals if applicable or if provided, and the feedback, the customer or the client or the user's feedback later on. This is very important as well in this piece because it will tell us also if the solution that we provided helps them a lot or covers or answers or solve all the issues that we listed down in this project. As a continuation and part of our development and implementation, I'm presenting to you the Gantt chart that I've created last year for the development of our system in Jardin Smith International. As you can see, this Gantt chart is divided into 6 main tasks, namely the requirements gathering and analysis, system design, implementation, software product testing, deployment, and maintenance. Under these categories, there are some more tasks in detail. It's like in number 1, the requirements gathering and analysis. It involves meeting with the management, which is this is a part where we initially propose to have a new system to replace the pen and paper issues, so the pen and paper call reportings, so that we can solve the issues that we are facing with it. Second is the meeting with the departments. In this schedule, we are able to get the complaints from all the departments relating to the pen and paper call reports, and we can get their inputs as well for the development of the new system. And then this requirement also, we collected some call reports and identified those information and data that we need: the fields, the entries, the inputs, the user inputs, the processes, and the calculation that we need to include in our new system. And then part 2 is the system design, which is includes web and interface designing, pseudocode designing, database design, and network design. These are all done between May to June last year. And then the implementation this is when I converted the pseudocodes to PHP codes, which is the one that I selected because of the budget restriction or budget constraints. And then the database to MySQL code, the relational database diagram, and converting of the mock diagram or mock graph to an HTML and CSS coding. The HTML in particular is the HTML version 5. And then software installation and server installation, I did it on the last 2 days of this duration or schedule, because it involves only to install the operating system and web applications server and antivirus and firewall system as well. And also beforehand, I need to make sure that my program is running smoothly before I can install it on the server. Number 4 is the software product and testing. This includes those requirement checklist that I will present later on in this presentation. The purpose of this checklist is for me to identify one by one the requirements that they've given to me to input or to put it on the new system. So with this approach, I will be able to list down those requirements, and I will avoid to miss those requirements. With regards to the deployment, we have 3 phases. Phase 1 is for the preparation, wherein I need to gather all the necessary softwares and necessary equipments that I need. Second is to refine and promote, which is after I develop the system, I need to do refining or retuning or testing, trial and errors as well. And then the phase 3 is the deployment, wherein I need to install it on the server and then let them try for a couple of days, so that they can give me feedback regarding the performance of the system, including the bugs, the problems, the issues, and another features if they want to add, or another, let's say, function that they need to add in the system. Lastly is the maintenance, which compose of the monitoring and the documentation. The monitoring is together with the maintenance as well. In this part until now, so far they haven't given me any complaint, and so far they fell in love with using this system. However, with regards to the documentation, I will treat this capsule project as one of the documentation for this project, so that I can use it, or the company can use it for the future, for their future references if ever I'm not around, or if someone took my place or took over to this, I'll take over to this task. So these are the schedules that I set last year, and well represented in a Gantt chart. Next is our testing phase, the fourth phase in our waterfall method. In this testing phase, we have a checklist that ensures the system requirements were delivered. During the handed over or turnover stages of this project, the customers or my boss or my directors needs to sign the acceptance form, which will be basis for the completion of this project. This process proves that system users and other company entities had known the accomplished tasks in the system, so that it will avoid that if there is some missing modules or requirements that they forgot to mention to me, at least I have a basis that they already signed this one. That means this is already completed. The requirements checklist have divided into two. There are functional requirements and non-functional requirements. I put some tags or codes to set those requirements for me to verify it on the list, so that if ever I need to check it during the deployment and the testing, one by one, or each requirement will be highlighted and will not missed out. And to continue, and as I mentioned also, the requirements are divided into two: functional and non-functional requirements. The functional requirements are the calculation, technical details, data manipulation and processing, and other specific functionalities that define was supposed to carry out by the system. And then on the other hand, non-functional requirements specify criteria that everyone can use to judge the operation of a system rather than a specific behavior. For example of the functional requirements: username input box with username word as default value. So it means there is in an input box there should be a username word there. Okay, not name, not word, not a blank input box. Same with the F02, which is password input box with default value password inside. So there is no blank or asterisk or anything. The word password should be there. Okay, so that is one of some of the example of functional requirement. On the other hand, example for non-functional requirements are divided into several requirements as well. There are usability requirements. For example, system is accessible in any browser. User manual should have GUI images on each step. So that are the sample of usability requirements. The other non-functional requirements is reliability requirements. For example, system interface or field should prompt error if required format is not completed. The second one, system interface or field should prompt error for required value that the user never put inputs. So these are the reliability requirements. So it is like what will the system output or react if ever there is a wrong input from the users. And then there is another one regarding the let's say changing of password. If the user never key in match password from the old password and the new password and the confirmed password, the expectation is the system will produce error or give error to the user, not hoping that there's a password mismatch, or the old password didn't match on the current password. And then there are some another one is the security requirements, which is, for example, login is required and grouped by access level. Password should be encrypted in database. Password input should be displayed in asterisk, and much more. And then with regards to this chart, as you can see, I divided into four columns. Okay, the columns are code, date started, date delivered, and remarks. As you can see from this, I call it the requirements checklist form or tables. The codes are already pre-printed at the side. Okay, so these codes pertaining to each functions or each requirement that we listed down. So for example, in line 1, it says code F01 dated started is last let's say January 4, 2017, and then date delivered February 17, 2017, and then the remarks is completed or was completed. So from here, if we're going to check our system requirements, and then we check this F01, let's say this one, means we are done, or this requirement was already delivered. So it means that the username with the input box with username in the input box set as default is already completed. So same with F02, and then SR03 means under the security requirements. So by the way, with regards to this code, it is not necessarily you need to follow my codes. You can decide on your own, as long as it will directly describe your functions. So like for me, my functional, I put it F. The security requirement, I put it SR. The reliable requirement or reliability requirement, I put it as an R. For usability, U. So it doesn't matter how you will make your code. You can put it like let's say specific ID based on your preferences. You may do so, as long as it will point on the different requirements that when you do the testing, and then from your checklist it says F01 done. Boom, from your list it should point on F01, and make sure that you write the proper code in a proper requirement, because if you miss out or you mess with this list, the problem may arise. And then these remarks may contain completed, or there's a bug, or there's an additional requirement, or there's a misinterpretation of the requirement. So everything will be done. So through this checklist, if the whole project is completed, the whole requirements are delivered, as you can see below, there's an acknowledged by, means the director or our general manager can sign this one as proof that the project is already delivered and already satisfied all the requirements that were we agreed upon during the initial meeting in this for this project. Now we are going to the fifth phase, which is our training phase. In this phase, we are considerably installed the software, and it is running on the server as well. And with this phase, we are now engaging with the users, and we are now letting them know how to use the system. So with regards to this project, I did not provide any manuals or any like books for me to train them. However, I prepared a training for them, 1 to 2 days training for them to become well versed in this system. As I mentioned, this system is a very simple system. It's composed of only how to log in, how to save your report, how to key in your report properly, how to retrieve the report, how to search the report, and how to change like information like your password. So very simple on it. It's like uh, log in, save, store, retrieve. Those type of procedures only. That's why a manual is not a big requirement in this training. And good thing also is within 2 days they are able to learn how to use this system. So with regards to the training pace, I followed 8 rules or 8 objectives for this training. Number one is to define the purpose of the training and the number of participants. With this procedure or rules, we are able to know or to identify or to allocate the location where we want to hold the training. Because if we don't know how many participants will be there, the tendency is the area might be too small for a bigger group or too big for a smaller group. And also we can allocate the chairs, because as we all know, or as we do or conduct a training, we need to make sure that every participants there are comfortable so that they can focus more on your training, not on their circumstances or their complaints about the venue. And then second is to determine the participants' needs. So like if sorry, if they need notebooks, if they need pens, if they need papers, if they need let's say they are not comfortable with their seats, we need to replace their seats, or if the aircon is too cold or not too cold for them. So those are the determining facts or factors that we need to make sure that we need to settle before we start the meeting or the training. And then third is to define the goal of this training. So of course we need to set goals on this training. First of all, they need to learn. Second is they need to know how to use the system. And third is to for them to memorize their username and password and the features and the menus in the system. Fourth is to outline the training content. So although we have no manuals here, I use PowerPoints to present it to them. So with the PowerPoints, it gives the highlights in a bulleted manner pertaining to the functions and the features that they will expect from the system. Fifth is to develop instructional activities. Although this instructional activities is not applicable in this system, however, I've presented them some sample reports that this new system can print out so that they are able to see the columns, the fields available, and also the sample emails that they will receive at the end of the day, because this system has a capability to send reports of the entries that they done daily. So it means they will receive a daily report individually, so that through these emails they can keep it so that they have their own record of what they've done or what they've keyed in on the system. And then six is to prepare a written training design, which is not applicable here. Seven is to provide evaluation form to rate the outcome of your training and to the extent of the participant, which is also, by the way, with regards to this training pace, the reason why there are some written in bold or highlighted is because those in bold or in highlighted are those procedures that I followed, because it is very applicable in our company, in our situation, particularly in this capstone project or in this system development. And then lastly, to determine if there's a need to follow up through emails, follow up to phone calls, follow up to chats is a must, so that they will able to relay the message to you, so that they will able to give you feedback and give you their recommendations right away, so that if ever there's a need to add functionalities or add another features or user capabilities or interactivity, you can add it right away. So these are the training procedures that I followed during the training phase, and so far it works for me. And but for those bigger companies, I think they have their own preferences, they have their own ways to train the people, and because they are a big group, they might prepare the documentation as well, or the manuals as well for the training. Now we are reaching to the another phase or another chapter in this project, which is to share about the findings and the recommendation that we have or we gathered throughout this project. With these findings and recommendation, we are able to analyze or see the importance of having a new system or having an automated system to replace the current pen and paper call reporting system in the company, particularly in Jardin Smith International. First of all, we need to elaborate or share about the findings that we gathered during or with the GSI manual submission or the pen and paper call reportings. As you can see from the flow chart, it is although it shows that there is a simple procedure last time. For example, in the CRM needs to contact the client either through email, fax, call, telephone call, or SMS. The second procedure there is they need to fill up the call report form, which is printed and available for them. Then after this one, the CRM needs to submit this call report to their respective senior sales manager, and the senior sales manager has the option to either approve it or not approve it. The reason for the senior sales manager not to approve the call report is to, let's say, number one, if the call report is handwriting or the information is not legible enough or not understandable enough, so the SSM has the right to send it back to the CRM for the CRM to resubmit or redo this one and then resubmit it to them. And then another reason is if ever the details there are contradicting or there is a misinterpretation and there is wrong information there, so the SSM also need to send it back to the CRM. On the other hand, if the report is or was approved, the SSM just straight away send it to the admin staff, and then the admin staff will do the archiving for those reports. So that archiving it means each call report will be put in a folder or bind in a folder and then keep it in the cabinet. Sounds simple, sounds efficient. However, these are the findings that we gathered during this with this procedure, and based on the complaints and based on the report from the client relation managers, including their senior sales managers. Number one, the call report could be misplaced or disappeared in between the submissions. Thus, the risk of losing the report is high. So, with regards to this factor, it is evidently that this process is there is a high risk of losing the report, because as you can see they are submitting it manually, so it means in between, let's say from the CRM to the SSM, if they improperly handle those documents or reports, or they are unknowingly or unnoticeably received that report, there's a high risk of losing their reports or these logs. Same thing also when the SSM submitted it to the admin staff and then the admin staff put it somewhere else or misplace it. Same scenarios as well. Number two, losing report could affect the retrieval process. So it means if the report is misplaced, there's no report to retrieve. So, and because of that, there will be no guarantee that the call report can be can give information to the CRM later on. Most especially in the case in Jardin Smith, there are times that they need to retrieve a call report 2 years or 3 years after they made the report or they submit the report. So those span of years are too long for them to recheck or retrieve the filings from those folders, and it will take a lot of time for them to retrieve that one. Third, human interaction could affect the business flow. This could lead to fault somewhere. Yeah, this is true and evidently because in any human interaction there is a high risk of error and fault somewhere. So it might be from the CRM, it might be from the SSM, it might be from the admin staff. So anywhere there is a high risk of error in this procedure. And lastly, there is no history or logbook to verify each action. So as you can see from this procedure or from this flow, there is no logbook presented or there is no way to log the submission and the receiving in both receiving and submission side. There is no logbook. However, or even we provide the logbook, we believe that still there is a chance of error, there is a chance of missing these reports. How? For example, I missed to log on that logbook, or I have no time to put my name or to sign on that logbook. So there's not still no effect or no advantages with this logbook. Next is after we discuss about the findings with the previews or the manual call report system in Jardin Smith International. Now we'll move to the findings when we apply the automated submission of call reportings in Jardin Smith International. First, we concluded that we evidently simplified tasks and the business process in Jardin Smith International. If we will look back on the flow chart a while ago, we can say that one is a very simple procedure already. But as we move to the next one, which is about the automated submission of call report, it is evidently that this one is more simple, more straightforward, and more reliable, I guess. And then the next one is with regards to the efficiency. This table contains the task, the time rate manual process, the time rate automated process, the person involved, and the remarks. This table is it is like a benchmark for us to compare the outcome between the previous system and the new system. With this table, we can verify if there are a lot of changes or or there's an increase in the efficiency of having the new system in place. So let's see for example, in creating a report, if before it takes 1 to 2 minutes per entry for the CRM to enter the call report, now it can reduce to 15 to 30 seconds per entry. And the person involved is the CRM, and then the remark is faster with the automation. Second, retrieving a report. If previously it will take as 30 minutes to 1 hour per record upon receiving the request. Now it goes down to 30 seconds or less. It depends on how they quickly enter the queries or the search keywords, and how fast their computers as well. This involves the regional director, the SSM, the CRM, and the admin. As you can see, the retrieval now is everywhere, including the regional director. From his computer, he or she may able to or can able to retrieve the reports in front of her laptop. Same with the SSM, the CRM, and the admin. Unlike the previous setup, everything is depending on the admin department. Everything is dependent on the cabinet or the filing or the archiving of the admin department. So with this, the remarks is faster with automation. Number 3, storing a report. Before, it will takes 1 day because there is a need to wait for the submission from the senior sales manager to submit the core report. Now it will take less than a second after receiving the record or each record. So it involves regional director, SSM, CRM, and admin. 1 day for manual process includes waiting for the SSM to submit the report, as I mentioned a while ago. And then creating a backup. In manual process, we don't have an option, not unless we are going to Xerox or copy or scan the documents, which will adds to the process again or adds on the business flow again. Unlike with the new system, a minute to back up the system, and it involves the IT department, and we can do it. We can automate the backup as well. We can set schedule and then the backup automatically through our server. So all in all, with regards to increasing efficiency, everything in favor of the automated submission of core report. And next is our findings with regards to the web development tool. As I mentioned from the previous chapters, that we are going to evaluate or assess our open source solution. This part is our findings regarding that one, including the web development tools and the operating system that we use, like Ubuntu and Apache for the web server. So far, PHP and MySQL delivered a good performance and reliability. This tool make it possible for the new system to be installed on even a minimum specification of desktop or server. In fact, in our company, I managed to install this new system in a quad-core computer only, a desktop of HP desktop PC, wherein I managed to install the Ubuntu, the Apache, the MySQL database, and my system with the PHP programming language. So hence this solution or this open source helps me to cut costs or totally lower down the costing in this implementation. Another fact about that one is I managed to reuse all the equipments, all the servers, or all the units that we have on stock. So it means the system is applicable for those companies that relying or are saving money and not spending too much with their IT infrastructure, but they want to implement a good system for their company. So then this minimum specification leads the company to use the available desktop in the SIS as mentioned. And then the tools allow the Jardin Smith International to reach the online core report system anywhere, because we design a web application. So it means in any computer they are able to access this new system. Not only that, they can access it through smartphones, smart gadgets like tablets, netbooks, and even their laptops. So and also with regards to additionally, we never think about the licensing for those clients access. I just install it on the server, and then the rest we just connect to the URL that I gave to them without any licensing involved. So this is one of the greatest advantages of this open source. Then with regards to security, I managed to secure the network because it is at first it is accessible locally only. It is not published over the internet. It is not accessible over the internet. Or if there is a need to access it over the internet, I might able to set it up using a VPN connection, which is also a secured way to publish it to the internet. However, because there is no need for us to publish it for now, and there is no need to for the system to be accessible outside our premises of our company, um, I so it means it adds up on the security in our setup in our server. Then secondly, with regards to the firewall built in Ubuntu, managed to set up or to disable those port numbers that or the ports that not required or not used in this solution. So I just open those like HTML or HTTP port number, and the rest are closed. And then yeah, there's a significant with regards to the design. There's a not too far from the proprietary software like ASP.NET or Microsoft .NET application. These interfaces are also can adapt those type of interfaces. Then part of the security is because I did some scripting tests wherein I scrutinize or I check all line by line my script. Those type of hacking is not working in this system, like the SQL injection, like the XSS attack. So far everything is tested, everything is well designed, because we believe that as I included in my capstone project, that part of the security of in a programming language is will base on your source code. Next, and vital findings on our capstone project is the result about the costing and savings. I can confidently say, and I can proudly say that this project finished with a very low cost, as in a zero costing about this throughout the implementation of this project. As I presented the table here showing the particulars or the items or the equipments or softwares that I've included in this project, and then the costing, and then the remarks, we can guarantee that this project did not add to the company's expenditures. So first, the goal is to implement a new system with a lower cost is evidently achieved. So for example, our server, zero cost. Why is it possible? GSI managed to use their existing desktop or server that is currently available and kept on the storage. As what I mentioned with regards to the open source system, we are able to install them with limited specification or minimum specification. That's why even a quad core desktop, our system will able to run. Aside from the fact that, aside from that one, because those open source systems are free, so we're not thinking too much about on where we are going to install it, because we don't need to think how to transfer the license or how to use the license, because there's a tendency that if we buy a license or a proprietary softwares, we tend also to think about the hardware that we're going to install that software. We will think that we should have a strong or a durable hardware so that even we install that software, will not lose that license easily, because as we all know, licenses nowadays are very expensive and not practical sometimes. So next is the network infrastructure, zero cost again, because in Jardin Smith International, every network is already set up. The only thing that I need to do is to connect the server to an existing network switch, and then the rest of the computers inside the office, in Jardin Smith office, are already connected, and the only thing that I need to do is to share to them the URL or the IP address of the server that they need to connect. Then the system is accessible to any web browser. So any computers, any gadgets, any smart gadgets or laptops, there's a software inside that is, or what we call is the internet browser. Any like Google Chrome, Safari, Internet Explorer, iOS browser, Android browser, the software will run and there will be no issues. Next is web development tool. Zero cost again. PHP is the web development language, which is free. NetBeans is my editor, which is also free. And then same with the database and the web server. My database is MySQL, which is free. Web server, which is Apache, is free. So no issue, no budget or no costing that we need to pay. Next is the operating system, which is Ubuntu. Is the web server, which is free under the general public licensing. The general public licensing is the licensing for open sources company, which we just need to follow certain rules if we need to modify those. Then the client access, zero. It depends. If ever they want to buy the latest gadget, it depends. But it is not actually part of the costing, but I included here so that we know that this one is like can be optional or can be considered those computers that are already available inside the JSI premises. Backup softwares are also available in Ubuntu, which is I use cron to schedule the backup database. And this is, you just need to know how to embed the scripts to backup or to dump the SQL database with the scheduler in the form of a cron. Then the redundant server, zero, because we have a spare desktop there which we can use. The only the only difference with regards to the standard redundant server, the redundant server, it will auto switch on or auto activated once the main system down. This is like a failover system. However, in my setup, a redundant server means if the main server downs, I have a spare PC to put all the data there, to put all the system there, and then I can make it as another server and then replace the failing one. So that is the only difference. But however, the downtime is not a big factor in our company, as long as within the day I can rectify the issue. And then next is hosting. Hosting is zero for now because so far there's no requirement for us to publish our website over the internet, or there's no requirement for everyone to access it remotely. So right now the server is accessible only inside the JSI premises. So with regards to hosting, so far it is a zero cost for us. Then for the system developer, it is not considered as part of this project because my salary, our salary, the IT staff salary is already paid in a regular basis. There's no additional cost, there's no additional payment or bonuses when we build this system. So it means there's no additional cost when we implemented the system in terms of salary. So that is how we find the cost and savings. So all in all, it is a great success for us to implement the whole system in totally a zero cost amount. And lastly, the final part of our capstone project is the findings on user acceptance. So far, Jardin Smith International employees gladly accept the new call report system. As I mentioned, they love it, they like it, they are happy about these changes in their call reporting. Second is the employees did not find any difficulties in adapting in the new system because everyone knows how to operate a computer, knows how to open a browser, knows how to log in into a system, and they just need to adapt on the how to key into a new form because they know how to submit. Particularly here in Singapore, everything is running online. Government agencies, government application like taxation, you can file it in online. So submission in forms, submission using the different fields or different browser is a common thing here in Singapore. That's why when I introduced the system to them, they did not find any difficulties because it is like filing of filing of taxation only here in Singapore. Third is uh, only took 1 day training or maximum 2 days because for wrapping up or to follow up training with the users, and after 2 days everyone was confident and started to rely on the new system. And then until now they never give me any complaints about it, and they are, as I mentioned from the first part, they are gladly accepted it. Fourthly, even the manuals are not provided, the user is able to learn. This is, I think, the effect of or the how efficient the training was and how if easy or how simple the system is. Lastly, the new core report system evidently promotes standardization in Jardin Smith International in submitting the reports because of the restrictions, because of the policies, because of the field restrictions. Like for example, calendar needs to input a calendar or dates. Um, the telephone number cannot input the character. So the users are restricted to follow or to do what the system wants or what the system required us to do. So with this standardization is imposed, and everyone in the company is doing the same thing. So it provides consistency, it provides fluency and uniform and simultaneous. I mean uniform and good flow or uniform flow for this business process. As another thing is regarding the retrieval, everything is following the same order. So you just need to key in keywords, then click the search. It will show you the reports, and then you can print it or you may not print it. So these are the findings with regards to the user acceptance. And to summarize what we discussed with this capstone project or in this presentation, number one, we identify the general issues that GSI encountered on their call reporting. Number two, we gather and analyze data, facts, and documents from GSI. Number three, we form our objectives based on the gathered and analyzed data. Number four, Based on these objectives, we concluded that the requirements is simple and straightforward. Thus, we use a waterfall method as our process design. Number 5, we listed down the requirements. Number 6, we start to design the following: tables, interface, algorithm, pseudocodes, object-oriented classes, network infrastructures, operating system, and softwares. Number 7, with the design on hand, we proceed to develop and implement this. We considered using PHP and MySQL as our web-based and database programming languages and management. We also choose the open source software like Ubuntu and Apache as our operating system and web server. Number 8, we test our new system guided with the requirement checklist. Lastly, our findings conclude that automated business process is a way better than manual business process. Automated system is more efficient and it can set standardization in a company. Number 2, open source software can provide what we need, same as the proprietary software. However, we save more money with the open source software. Number 3, Jardin Smith International accepted the software and they quickly learned to operate it in a span of 2 days. They are relying already on this new system. I would like to say thank you very much for all the viewers of this presentation, and I hope that you like the outcome of this presentation, and I hope you get knowledge and ideas on how to properly implement a new system in the company, and hope you get some tips on how to implement a system without spending too much cost or money, so that if ever your company needs something to improve, more especially with regards to their business processes, you can you can take this idea, so that, like for example, when you're using an open source system, it's the best idea to save money. However, if your company is not too confident enough regarding the security, we have no choice but give them a solution that is we need to buy a licensing, we need to buy a security, because we know that those licensed software are more secure and more reliable. However, if they need to save money, this is our option. Like my company, they need this system but they don't want to spend money, so I give the system, I give the solution in a lesser cost, but I just make sure that it will still provide a secure connection or secure interfaces through my through revision or through assessment of my source codes and network infrastructure. So again, thank you very much for listening and watching for this presentation, and God bless to all.